This is Caravan Radio, and I'm talking to Carolyn Mitchell, who's the exemptions officer for CAMpRa. And we start by finding out how CAMpRa started.
It was born really out of COVID when we weren't able to go abroad with our motorhomes. Anyone who's ever taken their motorhome or campervan to France will be very familiar with the AIRS system there. They're dedicated overnight parking spots for motorhomes. Some have facilities, some are just literally a corner of a car park. And they are found in almost every town and village throughout France, even within the gates of some campsites, which is something we'd like to try and get here.
Are they a new thing for the UK, or have they been around a while but people just weren't aware of them?
They're fairly new in the UK. We have particularly antiquated legislation here. The Caravan Sites Control and Development Act is the one, 1960, defines us as a caravan, because in 1960 there weren't actually very many motorhomes around. The Act itself is designed to legislate on static sites rather than caravan sites. But if you want to be able to have caravans, tents, motorhomes on your grounds, then you really need to have a caravan site licence. Where CAMpRa has sort of boomed over the last 3 or 4 years, we are now authorised by Natural England to provide certificates which enable any landowner who's got sort of about half an acre to be able to allow up to 5 motor caravans every night. They are only for motor caravans, campervans. You've got to be self-contained to use them. Sorry, caravan owners, you can't get in there. But it's sort of going from strength to strength. We've now got over 100 certified AIRS in the UK. Most of them, sadly, are in Scotland. I say sadly because if the UK was half as accommodating, we could have at least twice as many.
England and Wales and Scotland, they've all got their own rules when it comes to this. It must be difficult sorting out the legislation there then.
It is a little. They're all ruled by the same act, the 1960 Act. But they all have that, well, Scotland and Wales have their own version of Natural England, and we're authorised by Scotland, Wales and England now to be able to issue certificates in all 3 countries.
What have you got in the pipeline for those who are familiar with what CAMpRa is actually up to at the moment?
We're currently working with 34 councils throughout the UK, because one of the things that we'd really, really love to get is for councils to accept that motorhomes can bring in a lot of income. If we can park in town centres, even if it's just during the day, we can spend our money there. At the moment, they're more intent on putting up height barriers to stop us. And yet you have some enlightened councils like Wyreborough Council. Fleetwood have one car park where in 2022 they brought in nearly £26,000 worth of income just from charging motorhomes £5 to stay overnight.
You do quite often see this on parking meters, don't you? On motorhomes, campers, not allowed to park in the car park or park here during the day, but you can park here overnight for a fixed fee. That's something that you want to see more of.
Very much so, because one of the anomalies is that a lot of places say, yes, you can park and you can pay for 24 hours parking, but you're not allowed to sleep or cook in your vehicle. So even if you can pay for the 24-hour parking, you're not actually allowed to be in your van for 24 hours, which is a bit daft, really, because the car parks are otherwise empty.
What have you got in the pipeline? I know you've got some sites that are in the process of being accredited. Are these accredited to you and then you can issue them with a certificate?
Well, they're not strictly accredited as such. We used to run a scheme which we call CAMpRa Accredited AIRS. A lot of those were really just places that people had recommended as being motorhome friendly, but they didn't necessarily comply with the legislation. So we've actually removed the accreditation aspect now, and we have what we call certified AIRS. So we've got about 30 in the pipeline. At the moment, we've got about 9 awaiting issue. And as I say, these are throughout the country. It's not just Scotland and Wales, but also in England, fortunately.
And how can we find out more about CAMpRa in general?
The best way is to have a look on our website, which is www.campra.org.uk. And there's rafts and rafts of information on there. We've got information which is specifically for councils, so it answers their queries about the spacing of car parks and how they can actually allow motorhomes on. And then there's a section where people can go on and download information which they can then send to their council or their MP, or even just if they find a pub which has got a nice little bit of grass at the back and will be happy to allow motorhomes overnight, then they can become licensed to do so.
That was Carolyn Mitchell, who is the exemptions officer for CAMpRa.